Hello and welcome everybody to another edition, broadcast live or otherwise, of GameGuru MAX, live broadcast number 62. And this is my usual 15 minutes opportunity to show you what we've been getting up to behind the scenes in the development of GameGuru MAX. And I want to show you some new stuff. And before that, I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Because if everybody remembers the fiasco of last week, we shall not repeat it. Looking down my chat list, which you can't see but I can, we can hear you. Thank you very much. You can all hear me, so we can proceed. The format is very simple. If you're lucky enough to join live, you get to ask your questions. Remember to put a question mark at the end. And towards the end of my rambling, I will be able to answer some of those questions, and the questions I don't get to, I will post in the GameGuru forums along with a recording of this broadcast. So let's get right into it. I'm going to launch the software, and almost right away you're going to see something new. So instead of just watching a black or white screen for 15 seconds, now you instantly get a GameGuru MAX loading splash. Basically just to tell you that the software is doing something, don't panic, etc, etc. And that screen will be improved over time, and keep it animating, keep more things going on, keep you informed, maybe showing you the different things that are being prepped inside the editor. But obviously it was needed because if you imagine, say, a build from a month ago, you would have the not responding sign in the top left corner. Not very encouraging when you're running the software. But the thing I really want to show you is this list here, all relating to the addition of new weapons. That's right, we've thrown away all the old legacy weapons from GameGuru Classic and brought in lots of shiny new ones, which I want to demonstrate to you today. And other things associated with weapons, which I also want to show you at the same time. So you won't have noticed this before. We now have a weapons category. When you select the player start marker, it defaults to no weapon, but now you can actually equip your player with grenades only. Of course, in the release you'll be able to have grenades and weapons, so you can throw grenades while still holding a weapon, that sort of thing. And assault rifle. We also have melee combat, which is a set of gloves where you can sort of punch things. And finally, your traditional sidearm pistol. So I just want to show you something quick because it's related. Give myself lots and lots of ammo, and then we're going to run test level. And as you can see now, we've actually got our weapon, and almost right away you can actually see we have decals on the floor. So impact decals. You also saw the brass. I'll show you that down at the sand because it's a bit more contrasty. And in addition to decals on the floor, you've also got decals when you hit characters. So there's blood decals now for those. And if I just go into the water, you see I've actually got splashes as well for the water, and the brass is, as you can see, being ejected like so. And if I go and change that to say just melee combat, select run, then you get the same pair of hands but without holding a weapon, but you can punch and run and all the things you'd expect. Until perhaps later in your level you do find a weapon, and then of course you've got the choice between punching something or shooting something. So I've got another level that I've prepared really for my own purposes to test combat. And this is the other thing I want to show you that's totally related to adding the new weapons, which is player and enemy damage. So right away I'm being shot at. So as you can see, if I get a bit closer, we've got the damage indicator, which you can see there. And if I shoot, you'll actually see now the blood decals coming off the character. And you might not even be able to see it in the broadcast, but you've also got muzzle flashes coming off the weapon. And every now and again the player also has some blood splats on the screen as well. I've given this enemy 5,000 health, so just to test the system. And this is the MK19T sidearm pistol, which has different modes. So you can focus in like that. Similar with this, you can focus in like so. Just reload. Oh look, I don't have any ammo. I'll just rerun. I do like to give myself lots and lots of ammo, but in this particular case I wanted to test the sort of running out very quickly. You've also got different modes, so you can switch that to single shot mode or rapid fire mode. You can see the brass all over the floor, all looking very nice. Lovely PVR. So that's where we are. I still want to work on some more effects, and I also want to work on a ragdoll as well. At the moment, there isn't much ragdoll, which is why I'm giving my characters insane amounts of strength. Now, just as you would expect, you've got your character, for example, you would also want to give your character a weapon. Well, you have the option for that as well. If you go into General, you'll see down here, just like you got for the player start marker, you've now got a choice. All the weapons that the player can carry, the enemies can also do so. However, I only have animations at the moment for the pistol wielding, which is the both arms clasping the sidearm, pointing forwards, bang, bang, bang. So if you try to select the assault rifle right now, it will say only carrying pistols at the moment, functionality incomplete. Once we have the animations for holding the assault rifle, and probably some other little tweaks for melee combat, maybe not as exaggerated as sort of Queensberry rules fists in front of you, but you get the idea. When you select that, you know it's in sort of a melee stance until perhaps this character can find a weapon later in the game. But right off the bat, when you create a level for the first time, you can select which weapon that you want your character to hold and use, which I think is a really nice touch. And you can also say if when they drop the weapon, can you collect it? And if you can collect the weapon, do you want to collect some ammo along with it? So let's say he drops 3 clips, or maybe 24 bullets, 3 clips, and then you can collect his ammo, his gun, and then run off and do more damage later on in your game. So that's where we are. Well, that's where I am, I should say. The team's actually quite busy working on lots of cool things. Specifically, character creator improvements. The current character creator is fine. It lets you create lots of characters and all the rest of it. We just thought we'd pep it up visually. So we're going to get a lot more graphical methods for selecting all the different body parts, which is looking really nice. And hopefully be able to show you that next week. And also continuing work on the terrain, specifically trees. It's a very challenging part of the process because we have to render out quite a lot of trees. And we're making good progress there, but again, it's something I want to show you in the next weeks. So that's it. I'm going to continue working all the way to the end of the week on logic and AI and player effects and character effects, as many as I can cram in for the Friday build. For anyone who's a pre-order user, you will be getting your Friday build in 2 days' time, which means everything that you see here, plus a little bit more, you'll be able to play with at the end of this week. So I'm going to move over to the chat because I'm looking at the clock. I'm doing very well. I have 6 official minutes to answer your questions. I don't think I've ever had 6 minutes of under the 15-minute mark before. Am I talking too fast? Okay, let's look for a question mark. Here's the first one. Can you rickroll Rick? I'm not going to do a rickroll in the launch of GameGuru MAX. I'm going to leave that to the community, and I absolutely no doubt someone's going to do a rickroll in their game. So I'm looking forward to seeing that and how it looks in MAX. Here's a question from DJ LS Lee. Will the levels that we make be non-linear? Absolutely. You can create a level, and that level can go to, say, level 2 or level 10, and level 9 can go back to level 1, and you get to control how you move between your levels. And as you've seen with the new terrain system, your levels actually can be quite large now. It may not be a case that you need more than one level, just different locations. But again, that's entirely up to you. If you want multiple levels, they do not have to be stacked in a linear fashion. By that I mean level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 sequence. It can be level to level. It's up to you how you want to chain them together. Right, who's got the next question? Very excited about GameGuru MAX, thank you very much. Lots of exclamation marks, which I guess is good. Here's one from Legacy Studios. Hi, Game Creators. Will we be able to make in-game cutscenes? There is no cutscene editor in the first version of GameGuru MAX. You can create sort of cutscenes. We have a really cool visual logic system that's in progress. And you could create some interesting cutscene style sequences with that, but there isn't an out-of-the-box, out-and-out, full-blown cutscene editor. However, there is something being worked on in the community called Cineguru, I highly recommend you check that out. It's something you can use right now in GameGuru Classic. So get familiar with that, and then of course if you want to see it in Max, then pressure the developers to make that leap, because I'm sure you'll want a cutscene editor at some point, especially when we move on to the RPG gameplay, where there should be a lot of cutscenes in order to tell your stories. So, looking at another question, here we go. This is from SS. Hi. Placement of modular assets with grid is possible. Yes, you can have, say, walls and fences and blocks and slabs, and you have something called grid settings, which allows you to then connect those blocks either magnetically or through a fixed grid. So we have that facility in the objects editor. Looking for another question mark. Here's one from Matvis. Will we be able to control the volume of the sounds? There is nothing in the dev plan which lets you override the volume of the sound within the editor. Obviously, if you're providing your own sounds, you can edit those in something like a free tool such as I think it's called Audacity, where you can just change the volume there. But if more people want to change the volume of sounds, the idea then, I think, is that you think we've set the volume incorrectly. So let us know where you want to change that sound volume. Do you want it on a per sound basis, or do you want it on a per object basis, etc.? Exactly what it is that you're after. Now in the game, you can change the overall sound effects and overall music volumes. That's just a standard control for any game. But I'm interested to learn what sound volume editing do you want within the editing process of the level. I'd be quite curious. I do think you can set the sound volumes in script. I'm sure you can do that, but I guess you want, well, what's the non-script version for all the people who don't want to script? So please post in the GameGuru forums later your particular usage scenarios for volume, sound volume control. This is a question from Pan. Is there a possibility of creating my own weapon? Sure, you can go into 3D Modeler and create a weapon and then animate it and then import it and then set it up as a gun spec and then add it to the software, and there you go, there's your weapon running around. As you can imagine, it's a highly technical process. Right now there's only a handful of community members who are doing weapons creation from scratch. And we're happy to work with them in order to get them into Max, so you don't have to make your own weapons. You just wait until another batch of weapons arrive, instantly drop them into GameGuru MAX and start using those weapons. So that's our job. We're happy to do that for you. But yes, we're going to release a template and a guide which shows you how to make and import your own weapons. Looking for a question, question mark. Here we go. This is from Super Confident Man. Can you make sure all weapons, including third-party artists, use the same arms? We really are not a dictatorship. We can't force people to all use the same set of arms. We will release perhaps a set of arms which you could use to have consistency with GameGuru MAX. I think that's a possibility. But yeah, the arms that we're going to have out of the box and then weapons that we add, they'll be consistent. They'll all be the same arm. If you want to make your own weapons and thus your own arms, then you will obviously make a complete set for your game, and then you can have any kind of arm you want. Down the road, can we have more than one set of arms? I think that's very reasonable, but for now, they'll just be the generic arm with the generic gloves, but with all the weapons using those arms, so you get consistency no matter what combination of weapons you add to your level. Who's got a question for Ollie? Here's one, another one from Super Confident Man. Silencer for stealth. So a gun that doesn't make any sound, or like a silencer attachment, stuff like that. Those are all great suggestions. We can do all this, but out of the box there won't be a silencer gun. They'll just be the guns that you've seen here today, maybe one more. Not showing you the grenade. That will be in as well. Here's a question from Steve Bovis. Question: I have reloaded as of yesterday GameGuru MAX, but now when it runs, I get a white screen for a couple of seconds and then it crashes to the desktop. Before it was absolutely fine. Any ideas? Absolutely. Check out this Friday's build. We have made improvements to that launch process, including, as you saw, the splash screen, which lets you know what's going on rather than it just being a white screen. If it still crashes after that, please do post it with as much information as you can about your system to our issues board, and we'll set it as a high priority to make sure that we can find out what's going on. And we might have to increase our log file capability so we can step through. So you might want to cooperate with us on that issue, so we can actually find and reproduce and then fix the issue that you're having. Who's got a question? Another question. Here's one from Chuck Haggle. Can we change the player's weapon position when carried, raise lower, closer or further from camera? Not in this version. You can obviously change it in the background with something called a gunspec.txt file, but we're not expecting anyone to dive in and do notepad editing of text files. I'd like to hear if more people want to be able to adjust the weapons after the fact. We've gone to great pains to make sure that the weapons animate and play correctly and do all the sounds and animations that you're going to expect from that particular weapon. But sure, there might be some basic controls you want where you could just sort of lower it. You can do things like change field of view of the camera, which in turn affect how the weapon is rendered to the screen. But let me know if you need more than changing the field of view. And then we'll consider it. We'll talk amongst the community, we'll talk about the internal team, and if that's a really good idea, then it's just a case of adding a few extra gadgets to the weapons section, or the weapon selection section. So looking at the clock, I rambled magnificently for 9 minutes. So I'm getting up to that 20-minute mark where I kind of want to start wrapping up. Otherwise, Lee will continue to talk for hours. So let me find 2 questions from people who've not asked a question yet. And the rest I promise to answer in the GameGuru forums thread after this recording has been completed. So who hasn't asked a question yet? Okay, question. This is from Synchro62, your question. Can we not have the heartbeat and blood screen this time, or at least be able to disable it? Yes, the heartbeat's already been changed. You just see in this old sound file, I've not replaced that. There is a new, much better sound effect for when a player is damaged. And being able to switch, we're going to replace the blood as well, but yes, being able to switch that blood off, good point. I'll make a little note. Right now, actually, let me just write it down. Blood off. Because that has been talked about for quite a while in GameGuru Classic, and it's a job of but 5 minutes to add it into the system, so consider it done. And right underneath, oh no, you've asked your question before. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to find someone who's not asked a question yet. Who's not had a question? T-Bone, you've not asked a question yet. Here we go. You'll have to check if you have proper specs for Max then. Are you using the GG installer? I imagine that's in response to the earlier question. Thanks for that. Hopefully it provokes more information for us. Loretta says, looking good. Thank you very much. Pan, I think you've asked one already. This is a bit of a chore to try and find someone. Yes, Fearless Way, you have not asked a question before. Will the blood effects be improved at all? Perhaps using the new particle system in Max, the GG classic blood effects look very floaty and responsive. Yeah, they were just placeholders. We don't have any new blood effects yet, but now they are in and the team can analyze and scrutinize them. We might use them but render them in a better way, or just completely ditch them and get whole new graphics, which I think is fair enough. The blood graphics that you saw just then, I think are about 7 years old. I'm sure we can improve on that. As to whether we start mixing in the new particle system with all the stuff that you've seen, again, we'll see. I really want to get feedback from the team. And if we're okay with how it looks, great. We can move on to more important things like more character logic. But if it's a real showstopper, then yeah, we'll start swapping them out for the particle system, which will render things in a very different way. So that's it from me for this week. As always, I'll be back next Wednesday at 4 p.m. BST, where I'll be able to reveal more. Hopefully I'll be able to reveal some new terrainy stuff and some new character creator stuff, which I'm really looking forward to showing you. There's been a lot of effort on that recently, and I think you'll approve. I definitely think you'll approve. It looks really good. So until then, I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. I will speak to you next Wednesday. Until then, I shall bid you adieu and goodbye.